I want to start with a poem by Kathy Fish called Collective Nouns for Humans in the Wild. Collective nouns for humans in the wild. A group of grandmothers is a tapestry. A group of toddlers, a jubilance, see also a bewailing. A group of librarians is an enlightenment. A group of visual artists is a bioluminescence. A group of short story writers is a Flannery. A group of musicians, a band. A resplendence of poets, a beacon of scientists, a raft of social workers. A group of first responders is a valiance. A group of peaceful protesters is a dream. A group of special education teachers, a transcendence. A group of neonatal ICU nurses, a divinity. A group of hospice workers, a grace. Humans in the wild, gathered and feeling good, previously an exhilaration, now a target. A target. A target of concert goers. A target of moviegoers, target of dancers, a target of worshipers, a group of school children is a target. Jesus entered the gates of Jerusalem, and the Pharisees warned him, "Run, little hen, for your fragile life is on a collision course with a bloodthirsty fox." And in the movie, Jesus Christ Superstar, Judas begs, "Listen, Jesus, don't you care for your race? Don't you see we must keep in our place? We are occupied. Have you forgotten how put down we are? I'm frightened by the crowd, for we are getting much too loud, and they'll crush us if we go too far." But Jesus doesn't listen to the warnings. Jesus doesn't listen to the warnings, and I'm hoping, God, I'm praying that we will stop listening too. On Friday, I stood on the outdoor stage at Nathan Phillips Square, co-hosting the Vigil, my second hosting of Vigil in less than a year, the third citywide Vigil in less than a year. And I stood next to Samia Abdi, and we co-hosted the ceremony for 49 murdered by white supremacy, Islamophobia, and a sickness that pervades all our comfortable pews. Yesterday, I was reflecting on the most pervasive theme of the evening's speakers, which was that vigils are not enough. Vigils are not enough. On Friday, we gathered to mourn, but today we must have the difficult conversation about race, privilege, white supremacy, if we want to stop holding vigils. And from the grave of the Reverend Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., I heard him calling to us. And the words that I heard were from the letter that he wrote while sitting in jail in 1963. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait, wait. But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will, drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, then you will understand why we find it difficult to wait. And he went on to say, I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or even the Ku Klux Klan, but the white moderate. The white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice. The one who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal that you seek, but I cannot agree with you in your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes that he can set the timetable for another man's freedom. My friends, the statistics tell us that hate crimes against minority are rising fast, so fast. In Canada, crimes against Muslims was up 151%. 151% in 2017. Crimes against blacks were up 50% that same year, and there was a 63% increase in crimes against Jews in Canada. We know that immigrants and refugees who are forced to leave their homeland are finding welcome harder to find within the borders of wealthy nations. And in the past few years, racism, white supremacy, has killed innocent people. In the mosques in New Zealand, in the synagogues in Pittsburgh, in the mosques in Quebec, in the church in Charleston. And every time we wonder, what can we do to stop the lone wolf terrorist from killing again? And the first thing we must do is debunk the myth that these men, and they are mostly white men, are not lone wolf attackers. For no baby is born with that much poisonous hate inside them. One is carefully taught in the dark corners of the internet, in the dog whistling of politicians, in the casual racism on our streets, that there are certain people who are not fully human, that there are certain groups of people that we are at war with, that there are certain groups of people that it is okay to kill, that there are certain groups of people that we can gleefully live stream to Facebook as we pump their bodies full of bullets. But these killers have ingested a lie. The truth was revealed to us in that Facebook video taken at the front door of the Al Noor Mosque in New Zealand. When the killer came towards it, rifle in the ready position, one of the first worshippers he met looked the killer in the eyes and said, "Hello, brother." The Muslim used his last voice and breath to say, "Hello, brother." Judas might have warned Jesus to slow down, The Pharisees warned Jesus that he was headed for trouble, but Jesus says, I will not let my life be wasted, for I was called to cast out the demons of hatred and heal the wounds of the oppressed, and that is what I will do today and tomorrow. But then he turns to the people. He turns to the people and he cries out for them to be gathered to him in reconciling love. And on his last night, he prays for those of us who will soon become his hands and feet in the world. And he promises that those who walk in the way of justice and righteousness will never walk alone. Here in this neighborhood, I have heard tell of a convenience store that charges 5 cents extra when a black boy is making a purchase. I have heard of black children from the Mews being the only children not invited to the white children's birthday parties. I have heard of black teenagers asking their white relatives to walk them to the bus stop so they won't get carted by the police when they are on their way to their overnight fast food shift. On Friday, a Muslim mother was told, with her children present, that the Muslims were at fault for being targets because most Muslims were terrorists. This is not across the world, or in Quebec, or in Pittsburgh, or in Charleston, or in the chat rooms of the dark web. This is here in the village of Swansea, the neighborhood of Bloor West, the city of Toronto. Here, in our midst, is the fox that Jesus spoke of, and we are called to protect the innocent children from its evil. Not just the children who will one day become victims, but also the bullies that will one day pick up a gun, for no child is born filled with the poison of hate. No child is born filled with the poison of hate. You have to be carefully taught. And I have no doubt that Jesus and God is among us even today, breaking our hearts open enough to care, revealing to us the role that we have to play as church, as white people who benefit from systemic racism and white privilege. It is time to shed our blinders, to let go of our defenses and promise to protect them. Today, God is calling us from complacency to engagement, from fragility to courage, from despair to hope. We need not be perfect for the work ahead. We need only to be willing for God to use our bodies for justice, our arms for compassion, our feet for standing in solidarity. As we open ourselves up to the work that is ours to do, the love of Christ will transform our discipleship until we are gathered once more with all our global siblings under the shelter of Christ's protective love, where we can once more sing God's praises, for God is good. We are not alone. Thanks be to God.